All right, we are glad to be back. Welcome to another episode of Uplifting Buzz podcast, and I'm your host Gary Johnson, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Marcus Grove. And this show is presented to you by Buzz Report Media and Uplift Mobile, and we are honored to have you join us on today as you listen in to a brand new episode on this wonderful and Throwback Thursday. We have some interesting topics on today as we're going to be recapping the election, runoff election that just passed on this Tuesday. Some interesting developments coming out of that. And some is expected, but some is not expected. Also, we're going to talk about the update in the Mobile City, the City of Mobile's District 2 race between William Carroll that was defeated and his challenger, Samantha Ingram. And we're going to get right into those topics. As a reminder, as always, this is a non-biased show where non-biased conversations happen. We do not take sides with one or the other. We just bring you the facts and have a clean, non-biased dialogue about what's happening and what's important. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get right into our show. And Mr. Grove, how are you been doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I think that this election has been on everyone's mind, the results of it, and now just coming out recently, each polling place has their own results as well. I think that, talking about that would be great. And, I'm doing pretty good. I think that everybody's understanding of the election is kind of taking forward, and it's interesting to see.
Yeah, we are like I said, we most definitely had some interesting elections on this past Tuesday, especially in the city of Mobile, where many had hoped Barbara Drummond would be the next mayor. But I can say congratulations to Spiro Chair Goddess, who became the next mayor of Mobile for the next 4 years. And also congratulations to Miss Barbara Drummond that ran a great campaign. And she did better in the runoff than she did the first time around. And that's what we had hoped for. It could have been better. But it's really important that, it comes down to voters turning out to the polls to vote. And she lost by a small margin of votes. I think it was less than 1,000 votes, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 900 votes. Of course, you had some. She got 96% of the African American vote, and she carried majority of East of 65, and she dipped over into West of 65 and did good in some areas as well. And that was good to know that, she had support, across the lines, racially. And I know it's a nonpartisan election, but, it's still is what it is. You align with a political party, but whether it's nonpartisan or not. And I hate when people say that, why we got to make it so political and partisan, because a person is going to be who they are, and, they are Republican, they ran as a Republican, they are a Republican. They're a Democrat, they ran as a Democrat, they're a Democrat. They are who they are, whether they run on a party ticket or not, they are who they are. And that's where a lot of our people get, confused, and they're not educated. They're not educating the voters enough to understand the political system. And, we have to encourage, educate our voters so that our voters can know the difference between those that are running and why it's important for them to vote. What's the issues that's at stake? Who's representing our value? What are our values? You can't go out and vote for someone if you don't know who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. So it's important to know why you're voting for somebody, to know if they are actually representing your values. And like I said, I'm glad to know that the voter turnout did increase. And I'm also glad to know that the African American vote increased by 6% on Tuesday in the runoff. If we could have kept that margin and increased that margin to a little over 10 to 12%, I think Barbara Drummond would have been the mayor today. And like I said, that all comes down to a number game. It's getting the turnout to vote. But also, I've been, paying attention to a lot of the after talk of this election. Some of the people that worked on some of the campaigns, and how they criticized the other side of African American supporting Spiro, and they were getting paid $225 just to be out there, wave signs and greet voters. And some of the African American, one guy said, he asked one of them why was they out there supporting Spiro, and they said because they just want the money. They just want the money at the end of the day, and they didn't care who won. And the question is, did they vote? Were they out there just working to get the money? Did they vote? Did they have any say in the election? But we do know that Spiro did get a small fraction, maybe 1% of the African American vote, maybe 4%, rather say, that helped propel him to the mayor's office. And like I say, it's very important that we vote. It's very important that we vote. And if we don't vote, that this is what happens. And I know a lot of people, I got people call me, text me, Barbara Drummond should have won. Yeah. She should have, we wanted her to, and we were hoping for the best, for both candidates at that, best man won. Spiro did a better job in, captivating on what he needed. And it prevailed in the end for him, and he's now mayor-elect to Mobile. Another thing that I want to bring up, Mr. McGrove, in light of all of this, and now that the municipal election is over and we're getting ready to go into another election, which is our state elections and some county officials. I saw a post today by Vivian Figure's son, one of her sons, not the congressman. And he talked about why his mom and his brother did not endorse Barbara Drummond. Now, I'm going to say on the record, I kind of agree with him to a certain extent. And to a certain extent, I don't. I'm going to say I'm 50-50 on this. And he just flat out came out and said that, in the last few elections that his mom ran for office and his brother ran this round for Congress, Barbara Drummond was not there. She was not there. She didn't endorse them, and she was not there. And he didn't find no fault, or nothing was wrong with his family, which is his brother that's a sitting congressman and that has weight here in the city because Mobile voted for him heavily. And his mom as well. She's a sitting state senator. Right here from Mobile. And won her last election heavily. Now, I do agree to this point. In order to gain support from whomever, you have to show support.
Yes.
You cannot, I don't care what office you're running for or whatever you're doing in life, you cannot always expect you are the sweetest grape in the bunch, that everybody supposed to just flop to you. It don't go like that. And a person does have a right to endorse whom they want to and they stay silent, which they did. And I hate that they did that in light of, her not endorsing them or supporting their campaigns. I hate that, but it is what it is. But you also have to understand every vote is earned. It's just not going to come to you automatically. Now, I brought that up because that came out today, and, that was a valid point. So, like I said, to understand, I still would have hoped that Vivian Figures and her son would have endorsed Barbara Drummond. But that didn't happen. Even their campaign manager, they share the same campaign manager, Harry. When he was a campaign manager for Jermaine Burrell.
Mm.
before Jermaine Burrell dropped out. And when Jermaine Burrell dropped out and endorsed Barbara Drummond, Harry packed his bags up and went to Spiro campaign. So there was some animosity there somewhere, and it may be deeper than what has been told. I don't know. But in order to, when you're in a situation like this, you have to be unified. The vote has to be unified, and the party has to be unified. You cannot go in this thing alone expecting that, oh, this is me, this is who I am, this is my record, they're going to support me. Or just because I'm black, I'm running against a white man or a white woman, they're going to support me. Come to find out, a lot of them stayed home because they didn't care to vote. 2, they didn't care for who you are. 3, they didn't care for your track record. Or, and then a lot of this stuff wasn't even talked about. A lot of this stuff wasn't talked about, Mr. Grove. There was a campaign that was run, and I talked about this once before. You really didn't know the difference. You really just didn't know the difference between these candidates to a certain degree. And I can especially say that by Spiro. Spiro really didn't have an agenda of his own. He was just really promoting items that are already taking place in Mobile, and he want to go down and continue what's going on, which we already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the people gonna stay in the office. He gonna keep the same people in the office. He may move a couple of people around, may bring a couple of people in, but majority of the people that's already down in the Simpson administration gonna stay put, because that was a promise that was made for them to get the endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to expect a whole lot of change and a whole lot of things to come that's new from Spiro. But we can expect a lot of status quo and the same old that's already happening at City Hall.
Correct.
And I go further to say, living in the neighborhood that I live in, I can say that not one of those candidates, not one of the 4 candidates stepped foot in this neighborhood. They didn't knock on our doors. I ain't getting into hanging on our doors. They say you've been by. I do understand that they knocked on a lot of doors, but there's a lot of more work that could have been done. And also, I'm just not going to hammer down on the candidates. I'm going to hammer down on some of you people. A lot. Spiro had the money. He had millions of dollars. He had the money. Drummer had grassroots money. A couple PACs, a couple business owners, but the majority of her money came from everyday people that go to jobs 9 to 5 every day. That's where she had to spend money on the campaign to be visible, like on TV, radio, have a campaign staff. But she also needed volunteers. That's when people come in that can help walk the streets, knock on doors, make phone calls. And a lot of that plays a big part in helping an individual and helping a candidate win, helping them getting their message out there, helping them get their names out there. But we're too busy always looking for a handout, Mr. Grove. We always too busy looking for a handout. If they ain't paying me, I'm not going. I'm not involved. What I'm getting out this deal. The most thing that we should be worried about getting out of the deal is protecting our community, saving our community, and the resource and the values that matter to us the most. That's why we are working so hard for our freedom and our rights. That's why. We don't have to get paid for everything that we do. Everything. So we have to do better as a people and a community, and be more unified, and come together and then stop and let us stop tearing down one another. And let us start building up. And I heard you talk about it many times, generational wealth and building our wealth, our power within our community. Because we have the power within our community, but we're not utilizing it. We are selfish, and we're not coming together to expand our wealth, expand our power, so that we can be great and be on the matching side of the opposite. But in order for that to happen and come to fruition, we have to be a people that's going to be able to stick together and put our resources together to make that happen. It's just not going to happen just by talking about it. We got to be about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how our community can be great. That's how our community can rise above poverty, can rise above, all of the negativism that comes our way from politics. We can rise above all of that. We can have our 5-star restaurants. We can have our 5-star dealerships and hotels and our own private schools and clothing stores. Not only these mom and pops are good, but sometimes we want to be on the luxury side as well. We want to. Our community want to have nice paved parking lots and streets and sidewalks and curbside flowers and trees and houses and land. That's much more. That's much more than just going to the clubs. It's much more than standing on the street corner. It's much more than just smoking weed, sitting around begging, our hands just stuck out, thinking for the government just to feed us. I'm not against, those that need help, but I mean, us that can do better should do better.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for us to stop being robbed of our own riches when the riches lies within us and also in the palm of our hands. We control our own destiny, but we have to be able and have the mindset to get up off of our do-nothings and go about and do it. It's point blank and simple. Now that we have a new administration coming in, it's time for us as a people to hold them accountable. How do you do that, Gary? Well, you pay attention to what's happening, what they're proposing, what they're doing. Go down to the city council meetings, go to the town halls, talk to your neighbors, go to your neighborhood groups, meetings, and you know what I'm saying? Come up with your idea, take it to them. Let them know. Call your councilman up, call your mayor, call his administration up. We need our streets fixed. We need this done. You know what I'm saying? Be the voice for your community. Don't sit back and let them rob you. Don't sit back and let them do this and that to you, take this and that from you. You be on the defense and offense and go to them and be the voice for yourself, your family, your future family, and your community.
Yes.
Mr. Grove.
I think you said it best when it comes down to understanding that we have to be more cohesive and aligned. And the thing is that when you have differing views, let's just say in the Republican Party or Conservative Party, what they do is eventually come down to one type of viewpoint. And the reason being is that divided you fall. Okay. So if at the end of the day you're still fighting that good fight with multiple viewpoints, then what you do is you eventually falter into some type of space that is not good for the whole. Okay, I think that in a lot of ways, conservative people understand that the whole is more important than the individual. We as people have a type of understanding that our individual self means more to us than the whole, because we identify, but not in totality, with every single other colored person or liberal or whatever. Everybody has their individual self to maintain. I think a lot of it also has a big portion to do with finances. People that are in the Conservative Party, in the upper echelon of social status, social class, finances, and in the lower realms, have this idea of, okay, well, in order to not be in the lower realm, we have to save, we have to invest, we have to put money away, put money aside, we have to be business owners, even if we're living paycheck to paycheck, we still have to strive. And in a lot of ways, I think that lack of cohesiveness plays a lot into the lack of desire to create business, the lack of desire to save money for a rainy day. And in a lot of ways, I think that, that plays a lot into our political system. We're not going to vote for this black woman and stay at home because what is it in for me? For Vivian Figures, Shamari Figures, and the whole Figures family to decide to stay at home, to not vote, okay, goes back into that idea that they truly don't understand that the whole is bigger than the self. Okay, regardless of what Barbara Drummond did in selfishly staying at home, not supporting where she could have supported. Okay, I get it. But at the end of the day, the Figures family could have done a lot more in this race, as they sat home and decided not to. Kudos to them, I guess, right? But at the
Mm.
same time, shame on them for not putting their best foot forward. Whereas they came back down here from Washington and rallied individuals and groups of people, and we stood behind them. So they could have done the same in the same light to for Barbara Drummond, for them not to stand up to rally 1,300 more votes. It's really shameful. Uh I wouldn't say they have tarnished their image at all, right? They just kind of stayed in the neutral standpoint. But it still plays into that idea that they truly don't understand of the sum of the equation. They're standing on the individual side of things instead of understanding that the whole is bigger than the sum, even for individualistic people, which are usually conservatives,
Hmm.
understand that the whole is most important. You can go back to playing individual me, I later, but right now it's time to show up. It's political season. And so for them to do that, it also tells a lot into the fact that uh, they truly didn't. It's hard to play the political fence when nobody's saying I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. But we're not foolish, are we? I mean, we we shouldn't play the whole foolish mind game. It's like judges when they sit on the judge seat. They try to play like, oh, I'm a neutral party. But at the end of the day, those judges are either Republican or Democrat. They're conservative or they're more liberal. So
Hmm.
in a sense, not that color defines you, but in America, we have to understand that if you assume Barbara Drummond is most likely a Democrat, okay? If you assume Spiro Cherry Goddess is most likely a Republican, and if we're really playing the party line favoritism, then the figures Shamar and Vivian Figures should have came out in full force
Mm.
for Barbara Drummond. And what they did was they betrayed their own party, they betrayed their own people in Mobile, and they spat upon the future of what they could have. And so for any futuristic time that Shamari, and I went to school with Shamari. I went to school with Jelani at Dunbar Creative and Performing Arts School. I went to University of Alabama with Shamari. And so for uh, my family knows the figures real well. But for them to have not swayed on the party's line instead of just staying at home and shutting up and not saying anything, they betrayed their own party. Let's just leave it at that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's now you have this political battle that people will think about come next year when both of those the mom and the son will be on the ballot in the midterms because state representatives and state senators will be on the ballot next year, and Samara figures up for re-election next year. So and yeah, hey, He needs Mobile to turn out a big numbers to support him to be reelected. Montgomery and those small counties can't do it alone. You know, yeah, it was very interesting. It was a very interesting election. It's over. Besides one race, and that's District 2. And I'm telling you, that I told you last week on Tuesday, I was expecting this to happen the day after the election, which it did. They were just waiting, I guess to get this election over, then just go into talking about District 2's battle. So now they have set the court day. I think it's in October. So can you give us some enlightenment on what's taking place in this contested District 2 City Council race in the city of Mobile?
Yeah, so we do have Samantha Ingram that has responded with two attorneys familiar to Mobile's Zogby Act, which was signed in 1986 as a city uh, ordinance or city law that basically says that you have to live in the state of Alabama for 12 months and 90 days in the actual district that you're running in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a law that came out, a state law that came out in 2012, the general election law, that basically said that you have to be in your district in the state of Alabama for 90 days. And so what Samantha Ingram is petitioning for is a dismissal on the case on the grounds that the state law trumps the city or law, the city ordinance. She's basically saying it's outdated, it's void, it doesn't matter. It's for state law because state law trumps city law, and we know that that's not always the case. Now, with state law coming in contention with city law, uh, usually the oldest law, usually the more valid law comes into play. And if I was to look at this on a non-biased standpoint, I would say that which one conflicts the other in a negative light. And I would say, well, the state law nor the Zogby Act contradicts each other. It just basically, the Zogby Act amplifies the need to be in the state for 12 months prior to um, prior to running for an election and 90 days in your district. Now, the general election law is just that. It's just a generalized set of terms that says, hey, you have to be in your district for 90 days. Now, if I was to look at it, I would say that, I think that Samantha Ingram's idea does hold weight, but the Zogby Act was passed in 1986. It was passed for a reason. It just hasn't been upheld in a lot of different cases. But one case that we have recently seen is during when Sandy Stimpson, the mayor, Sandy Stimpson, basically fired Chief Prine when the city council went in and requested an investigation. And when that investigation kicked off, the Zogby Act was referenced many times. So we see the Zogby Act as real reality, and I think that up against the general election law that was recently passed in 2012, I don't think that they go against each other per se. It's just that the Zogby Act amplifies the amount of time that you actually have to be in the state to run, and that is 12 months versus just solely 90 days. And so the general election law does say 90 days for the state and the city or the area that you're the district that you're running in. But the Zogby Act explicitly says 12 months. So for a city judge to go against the Zogby Act that has stood since the 80s. I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening.
Mm.
But we'll see. October 15th. Um, the motion to dismiss has been filed. I just don't see the judge dismissing William Carroll's petition based on Samantha Ingram's say in that. I think that it's going to go case after case after case at the trial, November timeframe, which would be even more interesting considering that November 3rd she'll be um, put into office. But I mean, if that judge upheld the Zogby Act, she would have to clean out her office, right, and give it back to whoever that new appointee will be.
Wow. So, so do you think William Carroll's case has merit to it?
Well, what William Carroll is saying that is that she was not here during the um 12 months prior to jumping on the election trail, which Samantha Ingram is not arguing. She's not arguing that. She's arguing that that 12 months is invalidated. So let's just say if the judge says, "Hey, sorry, the Zogby Act stands," then where's that leave Samantha Ingram? Does she go back and then contest again, say, "Oh yeah, well by the way, I was here 12 months," and then that's going to start a whole nother storm, and the fact that now they can argue, now William Carroll can argue, well, you voted in Georgia, so I don't think that she wants to go that route. I think that they will fight tooth and nail with the argument of the Zogby Act versus the general election law. I think that once the judge orders that, hey, the general election law stands, and you had to be here for 12 months, I think they will appeal, and it will go to appellate court. And then eventually, I think it may have merit to go to the Alabama Supreme Court.
Mm.
And so, with the Alabama Supreme Court being a group of judges that upholds state law, they also have to look at this low Alabama city law as well and compare the two and see which one will stand. So if we make it to the Supreme Court, that would be very, very interesting. And we will have to see. But I think that it's going to be a long time coming, a long time coming. So it's not something that's just going to happen overnight.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna keep watching the developments in this election. That District 2 raised some tenure. That is something. Kerry wants to hang on to his seat by any means necessary. Over in Pritchard, got a new mayor. Pritchard has a new mayor. The people came out in big numbers and elected their next mayor, denying Jimmy Gardner another term. And they chose a black woman, for the first time in city history to lead them for the next 4 years, which promised them a new future. And Mr. Grove, congratulations to Miss Carletta Davis on her victorious campaign. What do you see coming for the city of Pritchard with this new administration about to take place?
Well, Carletta Davis is a businesswoman. She's a former banker. She's a mother. She's a passionate community advocate. I do see her stepping foot into office on day one, attempting to direct change. I think that she is a type of person that already has a plan in mind, a set of terms, which I just didn't see with any of the mayor candidates for Mobile. Maybe Paul Prine. He did mention at one of the Meet the Candidates events that he is the only one who had a plan. And I just didn't see that with any of the other mayor candidates. But with Carletta Davis for Pritchard, I did see that she's serious. And then she's a former banker. So it's one thing to be a leader in a lot of different realms, judge or legislature, but to be in finance is ever more important. You know, Pritchard has a history of financial deficits, um, budgets that have just been spat upon and taken from, fraud, the whole nine. And so for her to be a former banker, for her to be in finance, I think that she's going to step on the scene in a very serious manner and direct change.
That's what the people of Pritchard is hoping for, is change and a new Pritchard that will get back on sound footing and a safer community. Like today in the news, you know, they was talking about already what Mayor Lake Davis going to do with the police department. Do she want the county to come in and take over the police department? Would she dissolve the Pritchard Police Department? Or would she revamp it, bring in, you know, new leadership for the department, try to make way in the budget to get more equipment that they need? I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there. Mismanagement can play a big role in the downfall of anything. I see all the new trucks and Tahoes and vehicles that Pritchard have purchased. Then I see a lot of them that been tore up, been wrecked, flipped. The officers really don't care about it because they don't have to pay for them. Half from is in Mobile or other municipalities doing security work, and that's something I'm not a fan of. I mean, the citizens of Pritchard is paying for their vehicles to be patrolling their streets, making sure they remain safe. But you have those officers in uniform in those vehicles on a non-government job, like at Walmart or these streets, construction sites, doing jobs, making money to put in their pockets out of a city purchased vehicle. You know, I just don't understand that. And then you wonder why officers not responding to calls. You know, they don't have the equipment. It's because it's somewhere else. Your guys, it's somewhere else. You know, they're not in the city. Off the top, could be on the interstate. I mean, I can't say that they're not coming from business, but I see Pritchard police officers all off from airport, coming off airport, flying down 65 or up 65, however you want to call it, trying to get back to Pritchard. You know, it's just a number of things, but you know, I just hope that she come in, you know, and save the Pritchard Police Department, save those jobs in the city of Pritchard, give Pritchard their more local control of their police force. You know, don't nobody know this city than local police, and that can resonate with the local citizens there. But bring in, you know, the leadership and equipment and sacrifice that funding and recruit funding so that Pritchard Police Department and Fire Department as well can have the necessary staff and the leadership and the tools they need to fight the crime and fires or whatever in the city of Pritchard, because that plays a big part in building the city. You know, business is not going to come there if they know they don't have an adequate fire department that can respond to a fire or emergencies, and the police department that can't come and arrest a shoplifter and protect them from a robber and so forth, you know. So I just hope after she meets with her city council and, you know, her team that she puts in place in finance goes over the budget as she said she wanted to do, because she don't know that right now, that, you know, she works to save Pritchard Police Department, but also work to make it better for the city and the people there that's residing in the city of Pritchard. But congratulations, kudos to Mayor Lake Davis, for pulling that off, and she'll be sworn in a little over 35 days. And congratulations to her. the city council there, man, this is awesome for Pritchard. Pritchard is now will be controlled by majority women. Majority women. Only one guy will sit on the city council in Pritchard for the next 4 years.
Mm.
You know, the city council president got defeated, Mr. George McCall. Teresa Bettis defeated him. You had Tracy Hale defeat Mario Yalden runoff. She taking Griffin's spot in District 3. And in District 5, Roy Smith, the third, defeated Anthony Barry. And he'll be taking Osa Edwards' spot. So we have 4 women on the council now and 1 male. So the women now dominate the government there in Pritchard. And we're going to see what the women do and how they lead. I'm not against women. You know, I think they do a good job. So let's allow them a chance to lead and show what they can do to revamp and revitalize Pritchard, bring Pritchard back to the forefront where it could be spoken of good over many years to come. And I believe that can happen now that Pritchard has new leadership in place. What do you think about the overall, from 1 to 10, Mr. Grove, the leadership of the outgoing mayor, Mr. Gardner?
You know, the thing is that when you look at the votes and you look at people who have said some things about him, you know, I really think that it's one of those similar situations as William Carroll. I think that some people were displeased. A lot of things happened on his watch. But at the same time, I think that the bigger reason for, let's just say, William Carroll not getting a seat again, or Gardner not getting a seat, is because they had fresh, pretty faces. Let's just leave it at that. I think that people want to see freshness. They like to see, you know, fresh faces that are groomed and maintained. I think that a lot of grooming has its place with, you know, the outgoing Carroll and Gardner. People want to see some freshness. I think that with Carletta Davis, I think that an all woman or mostly women team could work. I know it can work. It's just the leadership from the top has to be ready for that city council. You know, I mean, because a lot of city councils run separately from the mayor's office. And so for the mayor to actually inflict change, positive change, and have a good run, they have to be in cahoots, but also have loyalty as well. You know, I think that that's important. And when it comes down to respect, loyalty, all those things will play big. But it's up to, you know, the team members of whoever Carletta Davis's team is going to be. You know, it's up to them to also work well together as well. So I don't want to see any more of this, what we've seen in the past. And with Gardner outgoing and his leadership, I don't think that he was terribly bad. I just think a lot of things happened on his watch that were not brought to heel quickly, you know, and that's a tough situation because sometimes your peers on the city council have to blow the whistle and referee you, but sometimes also it's the mayor that needs to blow the whistle, and it's a tough situation. I don't think he was terribly bad. It's just at the end of the day, people did want to see fresh faces.
What would be the number one issue in Pritchard that you see that Mayor Gardner couldn't overcome, that was against him, that played at an important part in his defeat for another term.
Well, crime is everywhere. I don't think that it is crime though. I think the number one issue is budgeting, funding, utilizing the money that you do have for the most important projects, not just buying new vehicles for the police officers, um, you know, not building more recreational type of places or making them better. I think that in a lot of ways, budgeting and utilizing the money that you have will be the most important. When it comes down to policing, you can't entice a good police chief to come in from a different city who has done this before if you don't pay them well. If you're trying to pay them $75,000, $80,000 as a police chief, they can get that from any other city. You know, if you're trying to bring in some big corporation, well, these corporations are going to want tax incentives for the next 50 years, which I like the idea of tax abatements. However, for a city like Pritchard, giving tax abatements to your highest taxpayer, which are corporations, would not be beneficial for the city of Pritchard. They really should draw the interest of home ownership and homeowners to come back in and pay taxes like normal versus give tax abatements to corporations just to come in because they're going to be paying, they're going to be employing individuals who are living in Baldwin County and Saraland and Chickasaw. They're not going to be employing people that live in Pritchard or Mobile even. So I think that enticing people to come in by way of utilizing and budgeting correctly the monies that you have, utilizing the monies that you have for the best projects that you can possibly use them for, not police vehicles or tangible things. Even some of these things have to be untangible. I think that one of the most looming issues is the water system,
Mm.
you know, and grabbing money from the city of Mobile, the Mobile County, or the Mobile area water sewer system, it doesn't look good. You almost have to fix the problem yourself. Even though I do agree that this water system issue is a long-standing, decades-long issue that
Mhm.
has nothing to do with people that even are living there now or governing it now. It still falls upon the current people, the current citizens. And so people are going to blame the people that are staying there now, when in fact the demographics that are staying there now have not always stayed there. The city of Pritchard hasn't always been is colored as it is now. So
Right.
if we look at the water system that was created, that's still there, that was created in the 30s, in the 40s, it wasn't done correctly at that time, but it is, something that we have to fix now. So crime is an issue, but at the same time, I think that utilizing the monies that you have financially, and like we said, Carletta Davis is a former banker. She's a former finance person. So I think that she is one of the most perfect at this point in time to be in that seat to do the best job in correcting the budgeting and the money. And hopefully she doesn't allow these big corporations to just come in and get tax abatements. Because that wouldn't be, they need to come in and be drawn in and pay their fair share in taxes. You know, small businesses getting tax abatements is one thing. Supporting the mom and pop shops And young small business is one thing, but when you're giving millions of dollars of tax abatements to Coca-Cola, for instance, you're no better off because
Right.
those jobs that you're hoping that those citizens in that area get, they're not going to. They're just not going to.
Wow. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. And like I said, we're going to see the first 100 days of this new administration is coming in, and what's her plans and agenda. I'm pretty sure she's going to have some type of session in the city of Pritchard to talk to the residents, and I'm hoping to be in attendance of that. And hopefully, I mean, want to try to reach out to her and have an interview with her as well. Um, about her incoming administration and her plans for the city of Pritchard as she moves forward in her first 100 days over in Pritchard. There's another race election, well, two. One is up in Maryland that have not been talked about much. Two-term city councilwoman Veronica Hudson, first Black African American woman in Maryland City Council, was defeated on Tuesday's runoff. Jesse defeated her up there for place 5 in Maryland. Many people didn't know Maryland had a Black councilwoman, a Black person on the council, but yes, they did. Her term is coming to an end in the next 30 days. Also, up in Monroe County, small town Frisco City, many know they only grocery store burned about a year ago down to the ground, and a Black pastor by the name of Pastor Brandon Love ran for mayor there this year, and he defeated the current mayor, a white gentleman. And now a lawsuit has been filed in that race, Mr. Grove. The mayor is challenging the absentee vote in this city in that election that propelled Mr. Brandon Love to his victorious win to become the next mayor up there in Frisco City. He's saying that those are fraudulent absentee votes that was cast on behalf of Mr. Love. So that was filed on yesterday, I think, there in the circuit court of their Monroe County. I'm kind of thinking that it's kind of too late to challenge an election, right? Because I mean, he wasn't in the runoff. This happened August the 26th, 30 days ago. I mean, I don't know. Is he outside of the what they call it window to file a suit for an election challenge?
Hmm. Possibly. With that situation, it's going to be tight. The days are numbered when it comes down to that. The days are going to be tight. We will definitely be following that and have to see.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, man. But yeah, that's another election challenge that's happening right here in South Alabama, up in Monroe County in Frisco City, and we know we had the one down in Gulf Shores, where we had to recount all the ballots for a city council race there. I haven't heard the outcome of that, but also another race up in Greenville, Alabama. Greenville have elected its first Black mayor in a long time. I think maybe the first Black mayor, Pastor Brown, a young guy, the city council president for Greenville, in his late 30s, maybe early mid 30s, have become now mayor elect of Greenville, Alabama. So that's another huge win there in Greenville, Alabama. So congratulations to all of these races. There's a couple more. Mr. Moss won Selma. Then you had over Marion, Alabama, Enterprise, Alabama. Tuskegee has a new mayor, a young guy, beating out Ford up there. So, man, it's so many all across the state of Alabama. So many races have transpired in the municipal and city council races that have propelled and uplifted African Americans to office, and bringing new hope to certain generations and communities across this state, and hoping that it will unify us all, and that we don't be divided but we build off of our success. And like I said, congratulations to each and every one that had a victorious campaign on yesterday, and it's on the 26th of August. And I want to wish those well that have served our communities all across the state of Alabama, also here in Pritchard, Mobile, Cearland, across the Bay, locally. You've done a great job. Even though things may have not went your way, or you may have not accomplished all you wanted to do in your terms as mayor or councilman, God allowed you to accomplish what you could have in the time that you were there. And sometimes we have to accept the fact that we have to pass the torch on to a new vision, and a new aspirations, and there is a new hope, and that may be in the best interest of us all, and we have to accept that, work together, be unified, and not divided, as you said earlier, because we shall fall if we divide. So let us uphold one another, have each other's back, and move forward, and so we can be what we desire to be, especially in this political climate that we're in. I'm going to leave the last word up to you, Mr. Marcus, before we get out of here. We got a couple more minutes, and I'm going to leave the last word up to you.
I think that, despite who you may have voted for, who you wanted to be in office or not, I think that life still goes on until it doesn't. And we must do our best to continue to uphold righteousness and goodness and fairness. When it comes down to the new mayor-elects for Pritchard and Mobile, I think it would be powerful for people in Pritchard to come to the city council meetings in Mobile, people in Mobile to go to the city council meetings in Pritchard, to just voice your concerns on a positive note, to inspire the city council men and women and the mayors of Mobile and Pritchard, just to inspire them. I think that reaching towards other cities in Mobile County would be important as well, but just to inspire them on things that we could do, right? It's just not enough influx of individuals outside of the county, that we must do what we can in the county. So I think that people all over just need to be inspired and uplifting.
Yes, sir. Until next time, we thank you for joining Uplifting Buzz podcast. Remember to like, share all of our social media pages, share our podcast with your followers and your fans and your friends and family, and join us next time on next Tuesday. God bless you.